Life, Love, and Lipstick. Welcome to Life, Love, and Lipstick with Lesley Stewart and myself, Tracy Lynn. We are back again, together again.
Yeah. And we're talking about cleaning out our houses and making things look less cluttery.
We should be in a band.
Should, even though I can't sing at all.
Can you imagine if we didn't have a house where people were actually working from home or kids working from school, learning from school remotely, we could be belting out lyrics like no tomorrow.
We could start on the street corners and move up from there.
Yeah. But I have kids that are trying to learn. People are trying to work. It's a little bit crazy. But with saying that, seems like this pandemic has brought a lot of creativity out in a lot of people, but not like artsy, but more creativity on how to organize their house, because we've had more time than ever spending in our home within these four walls and taking a look and going, oh my gosh. Wow, I'm slightly embarrassed. Like, how many jeans do I really need? I can't believe that my pantry looks like this.
Those and people also creating office spaces within a home that didn't really have room for an office. So they had to move stuff out to find a space to work in, right?
What about a classroom? You and I both understand that part. Like, adjusting mentally to working from home is tough for a lot of people. Adjusting learning from home is tough for kids. We've talked about the mental and health and wellness and all that's associated with that. But when you look around, I, for one, I don't like a lot of clutter because it just gives me anxiety. But on the flip side, when I look at my stuff, I wish I had that creative flair. Like, I know you can go on Amazon, you can buy all these like cute things for organizing.
Right.
But I, for one, especially when it comes to clothes, I can't get rid of it. Or certain things. I still have boxes of my previous life. Because it's like, oh, but I really liked that. But then it's not maybe for some people it's like a memory associated with it, so you don't want to get rid of it. But I'm not saying I'm a hoarder, but I have a lot of stuff.
You know what? I've actually in the last year got rid of more stuff, things that I was tied to, and I just got rid of it. The other day, I went to the dump and I threw out big, beautifully framed wedding photos that were still wrapped up, moved to this house, and I took them up and I looked at them and I whipped them into the dumpster.
That is amazing. And plus it's therapeutic too.
Very much so. I thought maybe it's a good sign. It'll help me move things along.
Yes. So if you can get to that point where you can go through all your stuff and detox your clothes, detox all the piles of stuff, because I think a lot of us, we kind of put it over to the side and it's like, I'll deal with that one day. I'll deal with that one day. Or I might need that one day.
Oh yeah. That's another one.
Or I'll fit back into that one day.
Oh, there's that one too.
They might come back into style.
But you can see why people end up with a lot of stuff. And we here in North America, we are major consumers. We buy way too much stuff. It's not good for our environment. That's a whole other problem. Yeah. And we're supposed to be minimalists and buy less, but it's, this is what we do. Yeah. So we actually have a professional organizer coming on the show today, and this is what she does. So she helps people declutter and rearrange, organize, and get yourself in a better headspace if you are working from home or have a better functional kitchen. And it's good conversation because I think we all need a little bit of this. And as you said, Trace, we know we need to do it, but we don't necessarily know how to do it.
Yes. And like you said, the functional part of it. You can have the space, but if it's not functioning well for you, man, that just sets you up for a really bad day. So I'm really excited that you booked our guest, Cheryl Ross. So Lesley, I'm excited. Bring her on.
All right. We're going to welcome Cheryl Ross, and she's from straightupspaces.com. And Cheryl is going to be our helper today.
Welcome to the show. We are very excited to have you on as part of our sisterhood at Life, Love, and Lipstick. Cheryl, big question. We're talking about organizing, and I think it comes down to, after our conversation that we just had, Lesley and I, the how-tos, but things are associated and have memories to us. And a lot of us don't want to toss it because, well, what if? We had a lot of what ifs, what if it comes back into fashion? What if I need it? But Lesley had an empowering moment where she threw some stuff out and it just made her feel so good.
Mhm.
So where do we start when it comes to
Letting
saying,
go, right?
yeah, letting
Letting
go and
go. How do
organizing?
we let go, Cheryl?
So there's a couple of things, and I get it. It depends on, like, there's so many reasons why people have challenges of letting things go. So one could be that, sometimes it's a gift that someone's giving you, and you struggle with that. You think, oh no, like, what if they come over again and they don't see this item out that you've given them? Sometimes it's a sentimental thing that you've been given from, a parent or passed down from a loved one. There's various reasons why people keep their like things in their home that they don't need.
Yeah.
So what I try to do, and it depends on the individual, but in most cases, what I try to do, and even for myself, I don't really have any struggles, but for somebody who does, I try to encourage them to like take a photo of something. Like if you're not using it or you don't need it and you're going to be storing it, chances are you're going to have to get rid of it. So if you really, really struggle, then maybe put it in a tote and put it aside for a few months. And then after a few months, revisit it and take a look at it again. And if it's still a struggle, like I strongly encourage you to take a picture, but you've got to let it go, because otherwise it just accumulates, and that's how clutter begins. Because essentially you're buying or you're getting things that you don't really need or use.
That's the thing. So I've been working for the Canadian Football League since I was like a teenager, right? So I have collected a lot of things to do with football, and I was with the Argos at one point, and of course the Ticats. So I have a lot of stuff, and I just kept keeping things. So we're going on like 25 plus years of stuff, and I finally did what you just said, Cheryl. I went at it. I took some things, threw it out. I put it aside. I went back again. I took more and threw out more, and I'm going back again soon. Do it again. And I'm also finding people that I know, like Argo fans, Ticat fans, who maybe want some of this stuff. And I'm keeping obviously the stuff that really means something to me that I will display, but everything else that's been in bins. Why would I just keep it in a bin, as you say, right? It doesn't make sense.
You'd be surprised, and honestly, how many people will do this, or they'll move from home to home and they just keep carrying things with them and they put it into their basement. So chances are, if it's going into the basement, or if you haven't looked or touched for 6 months, it's time to let it go. Yeah, you really have to, because it's not serving you any need or purpose. So, and it just makes you rethink. Like, you can like things. I have some stuff in my house that I like, but I don't really need or use them, but I still like them. So there's a difference. If you're still even at least liking the product or whatever the item is, then keep it. Yeah. But I mean, if you don't even love it, then yeah, it's time to go. It's time to let it go. And you have to think about it too, as like perhaps maybe somebody else can get some use out of it. As you said, like there's some people from the team who may enjoy it. So it's kind of giving you a feeling too, that at least it's going to a greater need or a greater purpose.
Yes, that helps. It definitely helps move things along when you can do that, right?
For sure.
Let's talk about some tips, ideas, and maybe some advice. I mean, a lot of people in this past year have to work from home. We have kids that are doing remote learning. We're trying to find space in our home to, as Lesley mentioned before, if the home isn't functioning well or flowing well, it kind of messes up everything else in your day. So with all of us working from home, and people are taking this extra creative way of, organizing, what are your tips on helping us either find that space or keep that space separate from the rest of the home?
Yeah, that's the first and key thing that you just said, Tracy, is you have to have your space separate. You can't have any distractions. I strongly encourage, like for me and myself, my husband's also working from home too. So I'm working in my kitchen. So I'm close by a window. If you can get anywhere where you can at least see nature and have no distraction, focus, write down your to-do lists, block off time. Especially with children at home too, the same thing. They need as least amount of distractions as they can get. Yes. So you have to allocate a space to them, even if it means setting up a little table and a utility cart, which is like my go-to for everything. It's something on wheels. It can move around the whole house. And you can just have the kids put help contribute and put the things away. The key to keeping everything organized as well is having as least amount of clutter as you can to start each day. So getting your kids involved and yourself, taking 5 minutes every evening or at the end of the day, putting all the stuff back, but getting them involved, getting everyone in the family involved, to kind of keep it separate.
So you're waking up to a new, fresh, clean slate every day.
Every day, yes.
Chaos.
I don't want to see all the chaos and the clutter. Like, you definitely want to keep it all put away, and less distractions as possible.
So there's that whole thing about everything has its place, right, Cheryl? And so if everything has its place, it has a better chance of getting back to its place.
100%. But again, it's true. The key you have to get everyone on board, because I mean, if there's just yourself and your husband or your kids are not participating or helping you in that, it's just going to end up the way it was. And I've seen it with clients that I've worked with. They're like, I've come and I've organized everything and I've put good systems in place. She said, but one of my clients has 3 boys, for example, and they're just, what they're like, they just toss everything, right? So she's like, oh my goodness, like, Cheryl, don't look in my pantry or whatever, because it's not all perfect the way it was. I'm like, don't worry about it, like literally, but you really have to train them as well that, let's just make our lives much easier and put things away. That's the whole point of creating a home for things, is so that it becomes easier for you to find it or to put it away. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the hub of the home, which is the kitchen, which has to be organized because it's so multifunctional. Office, it's a dining room, it's the room where you cry in, celebrate in. Let's talk about what are your go-tos, or what are your tips when it comes to, or simple things that we can do to just get started in that room.
So the same, and what I try to do with people, and depending on the individual, is I try to get them to start with a drawer. Like, take one drawer, and it's usually everyone has one. I mean, even myself as a professional organizer, you have a junk drawer. It's okay to have a junk drawer. It's okay. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Organizing is not about perfection. It's just about what works for you. So literally, like, create a space, like, for example, with your junk mail and things like that come in. It's very easy for them to be tossed all over the counters and you're not paying attention to them. If you can corral those in a drawer and just put in some dividers or different things like that, like measure out your drawer and put in some dividers and toss them into there, so that at least your countertops are clear. So, and again, it's about waking up and having an empty space and knowing that everything is tidied and put away is kind of the key, especially when you're just not sure, like, if you can tackle everything. Don't try to tackle everything. Try to tackle one small drawer and take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, don't overwhelm yourself, and do that one drawer. And then maybe another day, do another cabinet, and just continue on. But it's about tiny tasks is what I call them. So it's setting a timer and don't go past it. Spend 5-10 minutes and leave it. And then, another day, maybe even a week later, go back and do another one. Before you know it, all those small, tiny tasks that you've done, or those drawers, will add up and your whole house will get organized, because it just precipitates more willing to do things and wanting to continue and motivate you. So that's what I found.
Yeah. And Cheryl, I think a lot of people don't start because they know it can turn into a massive explosion. They look at their closets, their clothing closets, for example. If you have a walk-in closet and you have way too many clothes, and it almost seems overwhelming. So I think, as you say, if you just look at one little area at a time, I know that seems to work better for me, because if you took all of your clothes out of your closet at once off the hangers and try to create, your donation area and your junk and your oh my gosh, it stressed me right out. Right?
I have slept on top of that pile, just so you know, because it's too overwhelming to finish.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
100%. And same with your closet. I strongly encourage people, this year has been very different and not normal. So, but even to put a donation kind of bag or anything in your closet and take a look at it and next year, is it going to be in fashion? Do I really love it? Like, do I really need it? You know, because typically, and especially right now, like, you know, like you're not even wearing half your wardrobe.
No.
So yeah. And one tip for me for the closet, I usually tell people, like, you know, if you haven't worn it, then you turn the hanger the opposite direction. However, this year it's like I'd be turning a lot of my clothes because I haven't worn half of them. So, you know, it's a little different. So forgive yourself for this year. You know, like next year might look different. But mostly you're wearing your like your Lululemons and your casual clothing 100% of the time now. Hardly ever am I getting dressed up.
Yeah,
So,
we were talking about that earlier. And you know,
right.
one thing too, Cheryl, I know you have a friend who also does more like consignment, and it really helps. Like I know I sell some of my, you know, my clothes and consignment. And a lot of times I'll just wear them on TV a couple times and I sell them or whatever. So you can really bring back some money back into your life by sharing again your items with someone else who might love them. And that's another way of kind of letting go of some of your clothes that you don't need.
Exactly. So yeah, so my colleague, I used to work with her, Carol from C Style Revival. She's all about thrift shopping and helping individuals, especially now because finances are a little bit tight. So she's trying to keep her clothes in budget. So like you could buy like a Lulu pair of pants, for example, for like maybe $14. So it's all about affordability. It's all about repurpose, reuse, recycle, all of those types of things. So she'll come to work with me in conjunction when I've looked at a closet and someone's cleaning it out, and they'll be like, you know what, I haven't worn it. It's got a tag on it. It doesn't fit me anymore. So I will position Carol. I will just message her and say, hey, look at, so here's some of the items that this client has. And I mean, she's not going to give them a ton of money, but she's going to give them some money.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, I think it's great. At least, and then again, if she can't take it herself, like for sale, then she'll consign some of the higher items, like, you know, like if you have like, you know, a Chanel top or, you know, anything typically that, you know, you would spend a few dollars on, she'll consign it for you, or she'll donate it to Dress for Success. So there's one in Hamilton, and then there's one in Toronto. So she supports the one in Toronto, but she could also support the one in Hamilton.
Nice.
Yeah, these are ladies who are trying to get back into the workforce and they don't have the means to buy new clothes, so they can get them at an affordable price.
I love that. That's so good.
Yes, I think it's amazing. And it's a huge benefit to me because like you said, women are just like, oh, you know, I paid like $50 for this top and like, you know, I really struggle. Well, you know, when you feel good about helping somebody out or like, you know, getting a few dollars and buy something else more practical. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to organizing, I see it two ways, and this is where my anxiety might flare up a little bit. I see organizing and then I see perfection.
Right.
So when I see people post their pictures of their beautifully organized closets, their counters, their pantries, I mean, look at the reality shows. Go back to the Kardashians. We seem to talk about them a lot. Look at their counters when they have the jars with the perfectly placed candies and cookies. And one, I didn't know that people kept stuff in jars, that they kept it around long enough that they could use it on the counter.
True.
No, it's true. And again, like I said, it's not about perfection. For me, anyway, when I meet with people, it's about what works for you. And literally like, and I can do a pantry that could be anything from like a dollar store right up into like, you know, you could use Bed Bath and Beyond or IKEA product. It's just like, okay, how is your kitchen functioning right now? What is giving you the most angst? What's going to make your life way easier? That's what it's all about. I'm more of a minimalist. So for me, I like my kitchen counters clear, but that doesn't work for everyone. So I try to be cognizant of that when I meet with people anyway. It's like, what works for you? What's going to make sense? And try to set up stations or areas for like the kids in your house, for example, like, you know, like if they need something grab and go, like a snack area, then let's create a snack area. Are you a baker? Then let's just kind of hone in on that baking area for you and zone it. So that's the key as well, is to just kind of like make systems and things function for you. It's not about perfection at all.
And I like that you said that too, Cheryl, that For some people, I mean, some people would look at hiring a professional organizer such as yourself as, oh my gosh, that will be so much money too. But as you say, you're working with people's budgets. So and you sit down and you have a conversation of their needs and if they want to be super extravagant and put in California closets in their cupboard in their walk-in, or they just, as you say, use dollar store items to help them organize. You can help them see their world differently, right? And so it doesn't have to be expensive.
No, I had a client, she literally has 5 kids. She reached out because like her pantry, she has a walk-in pantry and the shelving was all collapsing around her, falling on top of her head. So I'm like, oh my goodness. And then she said, but I have a very small budget. No worries, I got you, because the key for me is, first and foremost, I'm not in this for money. I'm in to help people. So I'm like, no worries, we got you. I hired a handyman. We came in, we put up some inexpensive shelving for her. And I put in the cans on something that's like a no slip kind of, they're called risers, so that they can't fall off. Because that was the key problem for her, is they were all just collapsing all over her. And it has made the world of difference. And then I said, okay. And then I also went to the dollar store or Dollar Tree, found a whole bunch of things that I could gather for her to corral things. That's the whole key, is that you want to corral your smaller items. And maybe perhaps it's like, for me, I like to use clear bins. That could be from Walmart, could be from the Dollar Tree, could be anything like a mason jar. Only reason I say that is because for me, when you're looking through quickly and you're checking to see what you need for groceries, much easier to see it in a clear jar than it is in a tin or a package, or if you need the cookies replaced, or if you need the pasta replaced. Like, you just look quickly, open your door or drawer or whatever, and you're like, okay, I need this, and this. The whole key of it is to make your life easy, stress-free. Like, that's what it is. It's not perfection. Yeah.
Well, if somebody, they're listening, they're watching, and they're thinking, maybe I need Cheryl to come over and do some stuff in the house to help me get organized. If somebody's looking around their home right now, what would be some key things that would make them think, yep, now's the time to call Cheryl?
So, well, I guess I could say, like, if they're kind of struggling day to day to get everything accomplished, which, between working full time, trying to keep your house clean, looking after your kids, getting your groceries, things like that, of that nature, you don't necessarily have the time or the eyes. You need an extra pair of eyes to take a look at it objectively and say, okay, you know what, this isn't working for me. I had a client recently, the same thing. She's just like, she had deep pantries. She couldn't see everything. She was very frustrated. Doesn't have the time for that. Like, I work full time. I don't have time. Then you would call me in and I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to take those extra steps and measure, find out her goals. Is she a baker? Is she a cooker? Like, what does she do? Is there more than one person in the kitchen? Like all of these types of things, and look at it objectively, find out her budget. Like, I could go here, as I said, to the dollar store, or I can go like high end. What is it? What are you looking for? So again, it's all about their needs, their goals. But yes, if they're struggling to get their daily things done and day to day, then they're probably going to need me. Yeah.
Well, as Tracy was mentioning earlier, we're at that time right now where we're spending a lot more time in our homes than we're used to. So you really kind of start to see things that you didn't really notice before, or you're trying to function in a space that's dysfunctional. So right now, for some people, we're stuck at home. So even if you are working from home, you still sometimes may have more time on your hands to start looking at this. And this is a great project right now to have somebody help out, like such as yourself, or even use some of the tips that you gave today to kind of get rolling and get your house ready for when the world opens back up again. And then we leave the home.
100%. That's what it's all about. It's just, I'm here to help. And right now I have gone into some homes with procedures and following protocols. However, if people are uncomfortable with that, or if they're embarrassed by that, because some people get embarrassed, don't be. Like, I have seen it all. There isn't anything that scares me. I don't really care. I will come in, or I can coach you online. Like, maybe it's just taking a few pictures if you're not comfortable with me coming and showing me your space, telling me your problems. Let me help you fill those gaps. fill those problems, fix those problems for you, and get your life like stress-free. Because like, let's face it, we're all stressed out right now with the pandemic. Like, we don't need any extra stress with clutter. You know, it makes you feel so much better when things have a home and everybody knows that everything's got to be put back in its place. I mean, I'm still training my husband, mind you, like he doesn't get it. He still drops stuff.
He's a boy. That's why.
At least I get it though. Like, I'm like, okay, you know what? I know where your glasses are. Like, he'll be like, where's this? Where's that? And I'm like, okay, so just hit this drawer. Like, it's right in there, or just go there. It's so much easier. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm realist too, right? So, yeah.
Well, it sounds delightful. It sounds amazing to know where everything is. And plus, we learned Lesley had a place for some of her stuff, and it might not necessarily be in the house. It might really be in the trash can, right? You could drive over to the dump, and then you get to see things clearly. You get to see what space you actually are working at, or you can go and buy some new stuff. That's the exciting part.
It is. Yes. Absolutely is. And you know what? And it is very freeing. It feels really good. It's kind of like on your computer when you have all your tabs open and it's overwhelming, or too many emails or text messages, you just feel overwhelmed. It's the same thing with clutter. It's all clutter, right? And it's mental clutter too, which is why I think there is this correlation between, you know, people almost feeling depressed when their houses are just full of junk that they don't need anymore, right?
100%. Yeah, you definitely want to like have a calm environment, especially given these times. I mean, as I said, it's a tough, crazy time right now. So if you can get rid of some of that mental clutter and the physical clutter, great. Yeah, it'll be a huge win for you. Yeah, you'll appreciate it. Every client that I've done work with has said that. They're just like, oh my God, like I don't know what I have done or how I functioned beforehand. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Well, you have a brand new website. It's amazing. Your website's awesome. So it's straightupspaces.com, correct?
Yes.
And people can go on and check it out, have a conversation with you, and see if there's somewhere they can go, you know, within that conversation where, you know, they can get your help and find some more newfound freedom within their homes.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for helping us out today, joining our sisterhood here at Life, Love, and Lipstick. And we will have all your social sites up. People can connect with you. They can get you in to help organize, because now is the time. And then if they're not comfortable, they could do it virtually, which is a big bonus. So there's no excuses to not get organized. Spring cleaning. It's about time that we said, you know, take some good thought and get rid of stuff.
Exactly. Cheryl, you're the best. Thank you for all the good insight and information.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, ladies. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that is it for Life, Love, and Lipstick with Lesley Stewart and Tracy Lynn. And our guest, Cheryl. We hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, or if you would like to see anyone else on the show, or if you would like to be on the show, don't forget to follow our social media and just let us know.
Thank you. Have yourself a great week. We'll see you again. Bye.
Life, Love, and Lipstick.